সন্দীপের সঙ্গে কথা আছে তো?
হ্যাঁ, দেখি।
একটু হাইটে থাকতে বলে আমি বলেছিলাম
3:15 থেকে দিয়েছে নাকি 3টে থেকে?
আরো
থেকে দিলে ভালো।
বলেনি যে আমি অলরেডি ইনভাইটেড।
প্রোগ্রামটা 3টে থেকে শুরু হয়ে যাবে। ইন দ্য সেন্স
and other esteemed colleagues, guests, friends, scholars, students, everybody joining us virtually and who are present here physically, a very warm welcome and a very good afternoon to spend time with us for this event. It's a great privilege and honor, and I've been doing this for a couple of times now. Today we have gathered here for observance of the Sexual Harassment Prevention Week, which is from December 10th to 17th, and to enhance awareness of the provisions of the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013, or in short, POSH Act. Prevention of Sexual Harassment, POSH Act 2013, and the She Box portal, which is new this time, which wasn't there before. She, as in sexual harassment, electronic box, which is a new initiative of the ministry, which I'll just talk about in some time. So, because it's a commemoration event, because we talk about this POSH Act, let me just briefly go over how it came to be. This is a story we've told before, I have told before, it has been told and retold several times, and it's kind of indispensable for a program like this. And it starts with Bhavari Devi. So Bhavari Devi lived in the Rajasthani village of Bhateri, near Jaipur, 55 kilometers from Jaipur. The year is roughly around late 1980s, 1990s. She belonged to the Kumhar or the potter caste, whereas most of the people in the village belonged to a higher caste, which was Gurjar or the milkmen. So, and child marriages at that time were very prevalent in that village. Caste system was dominant. Bhavari herself was married when she was about 5 or 6 years old, and her husband was about 8 or 9 years old. In 1985, Bhavari Devi became a grassroots worker employed as part of Women's Development Project run by the government of Rajasthan. As part of her job, she took up issues related to land, water, literacy, health, etc. In 1992, when she took up the issue of child marriage, though, she found herself alienated. One family had planned on marrying off their 9-month-old daughter, which Bhavari tried to stop. Some days later, while her husband and she were working on the field, 5 men from the dominant Gurjar community came, attacked her husband with sticks and left him unconscious, and others took turns in gruesomely raping her. The rest is history, because subsequently the treatment by the police of Bhavari and the court acquittal of the accused attracted widespread national and international condemnation, and that became a landmark episode in India's women's rights movement. Thereafter, the petition filed by Vishakha and 4 other women's organizations in Rajasthan against the state of Rajasthan and the Union of India resulted in what is popularly known as the Vishakha Guidelines, which provided the basic definitions of sexual harassment at the workplace and guidelines to prevent it, to deal with it, which were kind of monumental milestone in the legal history of women's rights in India. And then after about more than 20 years, the Act, so this was about 1992, and the Act came into being in 2013. So after about 20 years, the Act came into being, and the speakers later on will speak about the provisions in the Act. But just, as with other things, the distance between the Act and its implementation has still been quite a great one. Fraught with insurmountable barriers of social stigma, ostracization, and simply ignorance at times. Most Indian employers have not implemented the law despite legal requirement that any workplace with more than 10 employees need to implement it. According to a report in November 2015, 36% of Indian companies and 25% among MNCs are not compliant with the POSH Act. Fortunately, at ISI, and especially under the directorship of Professor Shangamitra Bandyopadhyay, we try to be as compliant with the Act as possible. And I'll just speak about the She Box, which is an online complaint management system. So I'm reading from the text that's there on the ministry website. Sexual Harassment Electronic Box, or She Box, is an effort of the Government of India to provide a single window access to every woman, irrespective of her work status, whether working in organized or unorganized, private or public sector, to facilitate the registration of complaints related to sexual harassment. So you really don't have to go up to people and say anything. So it has improved the way you can lodge a complaint. Any woman facing sexual harassment at workplace can register their complaint through this portal. Once a complaint is submitted to the she box, it will directly be sent to the concerned authority having jurisdiction to take action in that matter. So for example, here, if you lodge a complaint in the she box, it will directly come to ICC. It is a comprehensive online portal for ensuring effective implementation of the POSH Act. It offers a streamlined platform to file and track workplace harassment complaints, ensuring timely and assured redressal. So you can track the progress, who has been interviewed, what has been, the progress of the entire process. So I just want to leave the podium to our director. Just by reading these few lines. Can you hear the women who came before me? 500,000 voices ringing through my neck as if these were all a stage built for them. I can't tell which parts of me are me and which parts are them. Can you see them taking over my spirit, shaking out of my limbs to do everything they couldn't do? So there are millions of Bhavaris who are living in each one of us, and we just need to wake up and shake them out of our limbs to take their mission forward for the women of India. So now may I please request Professor Shamamitra Bandyopadhyay to address the audience today.
Thank you very much, and a very good afternoon to all of you. We are observing the Sexual Harassment at Workplace Prevention Week from 10th to 17th of December, and this program today is a part of that observance. In ISI, we have been, as Shomonitra pointed out, we've tried to be as compliant as possible with the POSH Act, and we've tried to set up the processes, the committees at all our centers, not just in the headquarters. And whenever a complaint is there, I believe it is dealt with seriously, with the seriousness that it deserves. At the same time, it's also important for all the women employees to be aware. And if there is any event, anything which they find related to their gender and not welcome, then it needs to be reported. It needs to be said out aloud. Many times we've seen that women suffer silently. So that silence is not only a disservice to that particular person, but also in general. So it is important to speak out. At the same time, it's also important to be honest about everything in life, to have the integrity that there are no such wrong claims being made just to get back. But if there is something which needs to be brought to the attention, then there should be no taboo in reporting those things. In fact, in ISI particularly, we should not suffer from those thought processes that what will happen to me if I bring up such issues, etc. We should be at least that much forward in our thought process to raise issues. And my colleagues here, they have been actually very alert. They have taken all the complaints which have come very seriously, and whichever required action, appropriate actions have been taken. And I hope with more and more, we are aware, more and more, everybody is aware of what is welcome, what is not welcome, what is harassment, what is not harassment, and what is sexual harassment. As more and more we become aware, I hope we will take steps, not only not to do anything wrong ourselves, but also to see that our neighborhood, our people around us are also behaving within the prescriptions of decency, courtesy, that should be in whichever form. So with those few words, I thank our colleagues here, particularly Professor Sharbani Palit and Shomonitra Munshi, that they have taken this effort, and thank you very much. I hope after this program or after the week is done, there'll be a short report which will be submitted to the administration, and the administration also needs to retain this in a easily accessible form, so that even later on, if what has been done in 2025, that question comes. One should be able to produce those documents. So with those few words, thank you very much. And please take the program forward.
Thank you, Professor Bandyopadhyay, for your address, and carrying on with the thoughts that you echoed. When they buried me alive, I dug my way out of the ground with palm and fist. I howled so loud the earth rose in fear and dirt began to levitate. My whole life has been an uprising, one burial after another, which might as well be reflecting the angst that a sexually abused woman faces. And we have to stand in solidarity with the victim and against the perpetrators with all our might. May I now request Professor Vishwabruta Pradhan to please address the gathering.
Good afternoon. We are observing this Sexual Harassment Prevention Week. I must thank for organizing this event. What I came to know that there is for making complaint that C-box. I think we must make some awareness about it because possibly this is the first time I'm hearing it. So this must be available to all. Employees, students, research scholars, and
website I can write the address.
Yeah. So I have another suggestion actually here that this kind of things should be posted in prominent places. So what I can see that we have several notice boards, but that is basically messed up with many things. So can we do it maybe? Can we keep it separate place maybe for posting all these notices or maybe whatever that information regarding this? So that if we can do that, that should be. I mean that's welcome. That should be good. And another thing is that if we have more and more awareness program actually, how it is to be done, that we need to think. For the students, what they do when they have their orientation program, so we of course we talk about this, and there is that anti-sexual harassment that chairman actually addressed the students. I think with this note, actually, I will say this about this. I mean, this awareness program and posting all these notices in prominent places, whatever information required. So that should be part of this awareness. I mean, this sexual harassment prevention program. Actually, I would say. Thank you for having this.
Thank you for your suggestions, Professor Pradhan. I think we'll make note of things that need to be looked and worked upon. Thank you. And in the same vein, again, that nothing of this sort should go down quietly. Now is not the time to be quiet or make room for you when we have had no room at all. Now is our time to be mouthy, get as loud as we need to be heard. And no one believes this more than Professor Pradipta Bandyopadhyay. I think it's been a pleasure working with him, not only in ICC, but on all committees. He's as balanced as someone can be, very, very level-headed, as at the same time very sympathetic. He any problem that comes, any case that comes, he's so perceptive yet unbiased. So Pradipta, we'd like to hear from you. Pradipta Bandyopadhyay is a faculty of the Stats Maths unit, and I've been working with him on ICC and some other boards for some time now. It's been a pleasure. You're an asset not only to ICC but any committee you're on.
Oh my God, you are putting me in a very embarrassing situation. In fact, I am somebody who does not want to speak much because I cannot. Already both the director and the dean has said things that needs to be said. The only thing I would like to add is that perhaps sexual harassment is something that is often misunderstood, particularly by the men folk. I mean, sometimes some things that are allowed between friends is also not allowed if the friends are of the different sex, different gender. So these boundaries are something that should be maintained. And what is the boundary is a very thin line, very fine line. And that is something one has to just understand from the context, not beyond that. And so one thing that I always say in a meeting like this is, of course, be it sexual harassment, be it dragging, be it any kind of bullying, a no means a no is the boundary that you should be very clearly understood. I mean, I am joking with you, I am having a good time with you, does not mean that you can take advantage. And that said, I think our work in this case is, I think this portal would probably help because it gives you somewhat
Protection from very public right away.
Yes, correct. And that is one thing that I think makes things a bit difficult. Particularly, for example, I was talking to students, and one of the things that we felt was that since in ISI we have very few girl students compared to the boys, one thing that happens is that a girl, when she faces something which she is not comfortable with, she hesitates to complain because those students against whom she is having this feeling would be the same students she would have to go during the exams and studying together. And this is something we have faced, and there are situations where the complaints are not coming forward. And I don't know whether this would actually change anything seriously because that problem would still probably remain. But gradually, if people understand that yes, this is not done, I think this would diminish. That much is all that we can say here. I think that's enough of the, I would say.
Carrying on with what you said, Pradipta, I was talking to Sharonidhi and Madhumita before the thing. So this line between sexual harassment and harassment. So often teachers, students of different genders have problems amongst each other, but they may not be explicitly anything sexual about that.
Yes.
And they still come to ICC because apparently there is no other platform where they can go with their grievances. There's a student grievance, but if you're not a student directly, so let's say a project link personnel or some kind of other worker, then there is no platform where people can go, Shomamchari. So Madhumita, coming from IIT, I think she said that if a complaint of this sort comes up, there's a disciplinary committee that gets formed particularly for that problem. It's not a standing committee, but just to look into that problem, it gets formed, which is not the ICC. So I think something of that sort needs to be thought about. But the
problem is, if a complaint arises, to whom does the complainant go? That is
the dean or the director gets the committee formed once the complaint is brought into the attention of the dean or the I don't know, but some place has to be there which just addresses harassment without it being anything sexual about it.
Right.
Okay, because ICC has faced some
these
problems like this. Okay, thank you, Pradipta, for bringing this up. And we were just having a discussion before this. And this is not directly related to POSH, but this is something which happened about a couple of years back in October 2023 when the director and the ministry asked, so I did this compiling, which is called the Gender Responsive Planning and Budgeting at ISI, which really was the amount of money and kind of steps or policies that we were taking to make the campus or make the environment more friendly for women to work in, and the campus to live here, and just be more comfortable in the campus. So just want to highlight without going into the details. So this is about 2 years back, but I think it has just improved from there on. So we have been structuring allocations and policies towards greater female representation, greater women empowerment, and greater sensitization at various levels. So in the academic front, we have supernumerary seats from 2023, I think, for girl students, and many have got admitted under this scheme. There are infrastructural initiatives. So we have women security guards deployed, 7 of them at that time. I don't know how the numbers stand now, and I'm sorry I didn't have time to update it. There are ladies hostel facilities where women can stay safely, hopefully. There are medical facilities. Some budget has been earmarked for procurement and installation of sanitary napkin vending machines. I'm not sure whether that has happened, but that was earmarked a couple of years back. In the medical facility, there are consultant psychiatrists, one male, one female, so people can go up and share their troubles and worries. There are awareness and outreach programs. Of course, ICC conducts these awareness programs annually. There are also, we handle very, any complaints with utmost seriousness and concern. We celebrate Women's Day with great enthusiasm on and around the 8th of March every year. We bring in all girls schools so that they come and see our courses, have a feel of the place, and maybe later on they come back for taking a course here. So ISI is basically leaving no stone unturned in making the ambience of the institute as conducive and congenial as possible for our women members. With that, may I
No, I mean, as a people, I just only want to say that ISI is definitely has made a lot of progress in the last few years. But still, the awareness is something that you have to worry about, because you can see the attendance here. We can't help, but the message has to go through everybody. So our effort should not stop in arranging these programs, but maybe like you already somebody mentioned, putting posters in prominent places, making sure that they are there. Most of the time, they are gone within like 2-3 days. So I don't know who do these things, but we need to reach each individual, particularly the women, to know that these things are not tolerated in ISI, just like ragging and other things. So yeah, thank you.
Sharmanidhi will actually present a presentation on behalf of the chair of the committee, Professor Shushmita Mitra, who's not with us here, and she will say whatever she has to say herself. Thank you.
Thank you. So as shown at the set, this is really on the behalf of the current chairman of the ICC. So this is this sort of first talks about the act which was mentioned, which came up in 2013, and then from that on to what constitutes sexual harassment, and then finally the ICC. So about the working of the ICC and how exactly it functions. So the Act aims to provide protection against sexual harassment and then for prevention and redressal of the complaints which come up regarding it. And so we know that this is a violation of the fundamental rights of a woman to equality under the Constitution of India, right to life and to live with dignity and to practice any profession in a safe manner, safe and with dignity. And so these are also, these have also been spoken about in this convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, and finally ratified on the 25th of June in 1993 by the Indian government to form this act, which was talked about. So section 3(1) of the act says that no woman shall be subjected to sexual harassment at any workplace. We will talk about what constitutes the workplace too. What is sexual harassment? This is something we know, so different kind, maybe through physical contact, advances, or through remarks, or through some form of textual messages, or showing pictures. So that forms section 2(n) of the Act. So different kinds of sexual harassment. And definition of workplace, so this will include any place visited by the employees. It may be in a transportation provided by the office and covers all kinds of institutions, government organizations, private organizations, hospitals, and extends to, so this kind of harassment may be occurring at an office party, so in some way related to the place of work. So it may be at a site where people have gone for work, some kind of training program, just a travel or any place. So all this comes under Section 2 of the Act. So forms of workplace sexual harassment. So it may be explicit, so some kind of promise or either preferential treatment or some kind of punishment or some kind of threat, or it may be something more less explicit. So in the form of creating an atmosphere which is hostile, which the woman is sort of finds intimidating, or that affects her performance, it affects her state of mind. So that is section 3.2 of the Act. Now, who is an aggrieved woman as per the Act? So can be of any age. A regular employee, temporary employee, ad hoc employee, or contractual worker maybe. So any student of an educational institution also falls within the ambit of this definition. And this forms section 2A of the Act. And a woman of any age who is employed in such a dwelling place or house. So duties of the employer include providing a safe working environment, which will cover the safety of the persons working there. That is section 19A of the Act. And how does it provide this? This is through forming the internal complaints committee. So every employer of a workplace needs to have this internal complaints committee separately for each branch or office, if there are multiple such. Functions of the ICC include educating and sensitizing the employees, which is what we are trying to do now through awareness programs. And this is sort of a quasi-judicial body with powers to summon people, summon complainant and the person who has been complained against, call for evidence, documents, all these kind of things, under section 4.1 of the Act. Now, what is the mechanism through which the complaint is made? So the aggrieved person, woman, so has to make this complaint in writing within a period of 3 months from when this incident happened, or if there has been a series of such incidents. Then from the 3 months from the date of the last incident, the time frame may be extended if the ICC feels so. And if the woman is unable to give the complaint in writing, then such assistance has to be provided by the ICC. So the woman herself can ideally should make the complaint. If not, mentally capable, then a friend, relative, or maybe a qualified psychiatrist can make the complaint. In case of physical incapacity, then a friend, relative, co-worker, all these. In case of death, which is an extreme case, then a person who has information about the incident. So these are the information which the complaint should contain. That is, who inflicted the incident, date, time, location, relationship, addresses of witnesses. And on receiving the complaint, the chairperson will inform the other members of the committee. And a first meeting has to be held within 7 working days of receiving the complaint. Then investigate the complaint, submit its report, and while conducting an inquiry, a minimum of 3 members have to be present, including the chairperson. So the complaint has to be reviewed so that it has all the information, taking into consideration the conduct of the respondent towards the complainant, where the incident occurred, because this act refers to sexual harassment at the workplace. So that is important, workplace or any place which is connected through the employer or the work. And so then the respondent has to respond within 10 days actually, and a meeting has to be fixed for any settlement or conciliation. Now, this may be initiated through verbal warning, counseling, educating, or appointing a neutral conciliator. The findings are forwarded to the employer, and the choice of the conciliation method lies with the complainant. So it's given a choice. So therefore, the inquiry is initiated, interview with the complainant, respondent, and witnesses is conducted. So this is actually a fact-finding process, and where confidentiality and impartiality has to be always maintained. Now, the principles of natural justice, these have to be followed. So it's a term which is used by lawyers and our own, as a lawyer. So what are the principles of natural justice? So basically refers to fairness and unbiasedness. So hearing the other side, the Latin thing is audi alteram partem, and that no one can be a judge regarding their own cause, nemo jurex in causa sua. So these are the two basic tenets of the principles of natural justice that has to be followed throughout. The ICC can terminate the proceedings if the complainant or respondent fails to be present for 3 consecutive hearings. Legal practitioners are not permitted to be a part of the ICC. So, and of course, confidentiality has to be maintained. So, if the allegations are proven to be correct, then depending on the nature of or the extent of the injury, disciplinary action which can be as simple as a written apology or warning, or it can go up to withholding the promotion. It can it can cause a withholding of pay increase or increment, or it may go to counseling sessions or some kind of demanding that the respondent provide community service. So these kind of actions depend on the recommendations of the ICC. And on the completion of the inquiry, ICC reports the findings to the employer within a period of 10 days within completing the inquiry. The report must be made available to the concerned parties at the end. And if the ICC determines that the allegation is false, then it recommends that no action be taken. So this is sort of in detail what we just talked about. And if a mere inability to substantiate a complaint to provide adequate proof by the complainant need not attract action against the complainant. And malicious intent on part of the complainant must be established after an inquiry is recommended. The aggrieved person may file an appeal if the person is not satisfied with the recommendations of the ICC, and either party can choose to seek justice through the regular court of law. So this is the URL of the ICC, the email address, and of course the SheBox portal is there, which Shobhanita was talking about. And I would just like to add what I have seen as a member of the ICC. So we have seen all sorts of complaints where a student has complained against another student regarding sexual harassment. A faculty member has complained against another faculty member regarding sexual harassment. And of course, student complaining against a faculty member, that also has occurred. So in general, what has been said that it is best to speak out. Generally, people sometimes are afraid to speak out, but these things very rarely occur singly. So if a person is an offender, very often the person has offended multiple persons. So when a person speaks out, one speaks out not only for oneself, but for the protection of others as well. And these people are usually, of course, my interpretation, and not a sort of cowards by nature. So if some step is taken at a time, that goes a long way. So I think I would end with that. Thank you very much, Shumanatra.
Thank you. And just to continue with our experiences as part of ICC, there are others who recall something else. So whenever a complaint is, this is just for information, whenever a complaint is filed, often it has been seen that there has been a history up to that point. So there has been incidences which have gone unreported. So when a particular person brings a case to the ICC, everything starts from there. So ICC does not consider any history. So even if there has been, some interactions among the parties, the aggrieved parties, and the perpetrator and the victim at various points previously, where ICC might, if that part of the complaint would have been brought to ICC, maybe, the other person would have been seen in a more favorable light. But at that point, nobody had come to ICC. And at the point at which the complaint comes to ICC, you cannot look at the history. Even if that person has been antagonized, or, there have been reasons for the other person to have felt aggrieved over many instances. But since that has not come to the notice of ICC, we cannot go back and judge, the complaint based on that. So just letting you know, everything in ICC will begin, whoever has brought the thing to notice, that person will be the complainant and that will be the complaint. Everything, so the clock starts from there. There is no history we can consider. Okay. So coming to the last part of today's program, when I go home, I tell my mother the men outside are starving. She tells me I must not dress with my breasts hanging. Said the boys will get hungry if they see fruit. Says I should sit with my legs closed like a woman ought to, or the men will get angry and fight. Said I can avoid all this trouble if I just learn to act like a lady. But the problem is that doesn't even make sense. I can't wrap my head around the fact that I have to convince half the world's population my body is not their bed. I am busy learning the consequences of womanhood when I should be learning science and maths instead. As if the acceptance of my own body parts will invite thoughts of lust in their heads. So I'm sure many of us may have unpleasant experiences that they have gone through. We would like to hear from some of the people from ISI. So the next part of the program will be moderated by Madhumita. Is a panel where I guess you will share your experiences. Shagornil Chakraborty is a project link personnel in a project on image-based air quality estimation of industrial regions that's funded by the West Bengal Board. Shreya Chatterjee, who is a former MSTAT student and currently a first-year JRF at ISRO, and Srimoy Bhaumik, who is with the Director's Office Biotech.
Come here.
Fruit.
No, we are comfortable here. We can
From here?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I thought here people can see you better.
People can see you better. Come ahead. এদিকে চলে এসো।
Topic for panel discussion will be how to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace. So we will start with Srimoy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today's topic is prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, which is a burning topic nowadays, and at the same time, very unfortunate to discuss even in 2025. This is my personal view. So before elaborating on the topic of prevention, let's talk about few lesser known facts that also come under the same umbrella. As per the POSH Act 2013, as rightly mentioned, it also includes any kind of unwelcome act or behavior that makes a woman feel offended, humiliated, or intimidated by causing or creating a hostile workplace for him or her. Now, if we talk about prevention, there are plenty of measures that could be taken, and with a few of them have already been discussed by Sharbani ma'am, and I think my fellow colleagues will also discuss about this. But for me, what I feel is more important to discuss, other than policies or mechanisms, for prevention of sexual harassment, it requires a sustained emotional support to the victim, and of course, a deliberate shift, if possible, in the mindset of the society. Emotional support is foundational, very foundational actually. Employees must feel psychologically safe to speak up, report concerns, and seek help without fear of retaliation or stigma. When employees feel supported, harmful behavior or I guess are more likely to be addressed early rather than ignored, as it happens usually. Equally important is a change in mindset. Preventing sexual harassment is not only about avoiding misconduct, but also about fostering a culture of dignity, respect, and accountability, only and only through education. But please remember, it's not the bookish education we are talking about, it is practical education of life. Now, together, emotional support and mindset change, we need to create such a workplace culture where mutual respect is the norm and everyone feels empowered to contribute to a safe and secure workplace. Thank you.
So, Mr. Shagunil Chakraborty, if you have.
First of all, good afternoon to everyone present here. So I'll be sharing some of my thoughts and opinions regarding this topic. So sexual harassment is using what nature gave us to take what isn't ours. It's an act of violence, not only against an individual, but the group. And it inevitably meets the wrath of the group, as quoted by American writer, musician, academic Anthony Murray. And I somewhat agree with this statement. Whenever such an incident comes into light, we are all enraged. We show our solidarity with the victim, we protest, we agitate, we demand justice. Sometimes justice is delivered and the perpetrator is punished. Other times, we are not so fortunate. But have we ever wondered why this collective outrage only after the crime has been committed? Why do we have to wait for another victim to be traumatized to motivate us to come together and raise our voices? Shouldn't something be done to nip it in the bud? Now, don't get me wrong, prevention is easier said than done. After all, sexual harassment isn't caused by some pathogen so that we can concoct a vaccine and administer it to everyone. There are multiple causes of sexual harassment that may include manifestation of unequal power relations, where vulnerable workers are more likely to be victims, expression of resentment and reassertion of control over women perceived as economic competitors. Women in supervisory roles also may face increased harassment, which serves as some sort of a masculine overcompensation driven by control. And to sum it all up, there is a lack of accountability in the workplace. Also, there are other psychological motivators, such as a desire for personal power due to low empathy, low emotional intelligence, and certain personality disorders. Now, effective prevention requires a holistic approach that goes beyond mere legal compliances. We should have like a committed and engaged leadership with zero tolerance policy, consistent and demonstrated accountability, trusted and accessible complaint procedure, and prompt and thorough and impartial investigation. And last but not the least, bystander intervention training. That is training of employees to intervene and disrupt the situation whenever they observe it. Now, bystander intervention training is considered a game changer because it shifts the responsibility of prevention solely from the victim to the entire workplace community. As Celeste Ng stated, being harassed is terrible. Having bystanders pretend they don't notice is infinitely worse. Keep in mind that this is a collective responsibility. The onus is not on us as individuals, but as a collective. In order to do so, we should stop perceiving our colleagues as mere competitors, but as fellow comrades. As Piotr Kropotkin once said, competition is the law of the jungle. but cooperation is the law of civilization. So let us unite and create a workplace driven by cooperation where a potential victim won't feel alone and vulnerable, and the harasser would think twice before doing it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today in this seminar on prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, I would like to focus on why prevention matters, how big the problem is, and what we must do every day to ensure a safe, respectful workplace. Sexual harassment at work is not rare. It's a widespread issue affecting employees across industries, sectors, and countries. And it's not only about women, it's about men too. Surveys show that in India, on average, over 400 cases of workplace sexual harassment are reported every year. And this translates to approximately 35 cases each month. While high reporting is a positive sign of trust in systems like the POSH Act, it also reflects the reality that sexual harassment continues to occur. The statistics of sexual harassment remind us of two important truths. Underreporting remains high. Many employees who experience harassment do not formally complain as they fear negative career consequences or lack confidence in the systems meant to protect them. Prevention is more important than ever. Awareness and reporting are necessary, but the best outcome is to stop harassment before it ever happens. So, what can each of us do? First, be aware of what constitutes harassment. It's any unwelcome conduct of sexual nature that creates discomfort, fear, or a hostile environment. This is not subjective, it's behavior judged by how it affects the recipient. Second, respect boundaries and consent at all times. Third, support reporting and accountability. If someone chooses to come forward, listen without judgment and ensure they know the correct channels to do so, such as internal committees, HR departments, or mandated reporting mechanisms under workplace policies like the POSH Act in India. Fourth, be a proactive bystander. If you witness inappropriate behavior, intervene safely, speak up, and report it. Silence allows harassment to continue. Finally, leaders and organizations must do more than just enforce rules. They must cultivate a culture of respect where dignity is non negotiable and every employee feels protected and empowered. In conclusion, preventing sexual harassment is not just about legal compliance, it's about building a workplace where dignity, safety, and respect are the foundation of our daily interactions. Thank you.
Now, my question is, if an employee or student faces any sexual harassment related issue, to whom should she approach to lodge the complaint if she is not aware of ICC, Internal Complaint Committee?
If he or she is a student, he or she should first approach any trusted authority such as a supervisor, a faculty member, head of the department, or administrative officer. They are obligated to guide her to the proper complaint mechanism. Employees can contact the HR department or the administration. Also, the newly introduced She Box can be used by any woman across India. Besides this, if the workplace has some counseling cell or grievance redressal committee, one may lodge a complaint there. These bodies will ensure the complaint reaches the appropriate authority while maintaining confidentiality. If she is uncomfortable approaching internal authorities, she can directly approach the local complaints committee set up by the district officer under the POSH Act. In cases of serious misconduct, she may also file a police complaint. After all, lack of awareness is not one's fault. Help is available and every institution is legally required to support the distressed. Thank you.
Whether gender inequality has any role in increasing sexual harassment cases at workplace?
Yes, it does play a very significant role in increasing the risk of sexual harassment. When power, authority, and opportunity are unevenly distributed across genders, it creates conditions where misuse of power is more likely to occur and less likely to be challenged. Individuals in less powerful positions may fear of retaliation, uh, career setbacks, and or maybe dismissal of their concerns also. But having said that, I would also like to mention that since today law is more for the women, there are cases that women are using this weapon. I mean, these are exclusively misused. So I will say that this is very disgraceful as a woman, and this should be strongly condemned also.
My last question for this session. What are the main initiatives we can take to eradicate this problem from the system?
Thank you for asking me that question because just like I previously mentioned about bystander intervention training. So in most of the times, the preventive measures we talk about, those are mostly retaliatory in nature, right? Those are punitive measures. So like after the crime has been committed, we actually do investigation, and based on whether the perpetrator is guilty or not, we punish him accordingly. But again, this varies from workplaces to workplace. But in most cases, again, I'm not a psychologist, but the victim already has gone through such a trauma. And oftentimes these legal procedures, these bureaucratic loopholes sometimes actually brings some sort of it creates a Kafkaesque nightmare for the victim. So I think we should actually have like a collective approach towards the workplace where every employee is involved and like with a sensitive training. So regarding that, actually, there's an article aptly named Sexual Harassment and Prevention Training by Romy Sedeno and Julie Bolen, published in National Library of Medicine, National Center for Biotechnology Information. They propose a 5Ds framework that every worker can implement for diffusing a situation. So number one, it's called distract, interrupting the harasser by distraction, an indirect approach. Number two, delegate, asking for someone higher up to intervene. Number three, direct. This is the more direct confrontational approach to call out, to speak up. So the sexual harassment type behavior is taking place. Number four, delay. Like if it has already happened too quick, then we should check in with the victim and we should ensure that the situation does not escalate. And lastly, number five, it's document, record and take notes of the incidents, but only use them with the permission of the victim.
Thank you very much.
Madhumita, ask if they have some questions.
Can they hear? ISI Northeast Center.
You can unmute them.
Another last question.
Can you hear us?
Am I audible?
Hello.
Tough situation. Chini na okay.
Kakuli Gogoi, can you hear us? Yeah, so the point is, does anybody from the Northeast have any question or any suggestions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine.
Thank you very much for the panel. I think the mic is over there, right overhead where you are sitting. Embedded right over there.
It covers him.
That's everything.
No, as long as they've heard, that's fine. Okay, thank you very much for the panel discussion. To the panelists and to Madhumita. About to conclude our program. You are one person, but when you move, an entire community walks through you. So I hope this discussion has spread enough awareness for us to take the message forward, become Bhawaris and stand up for justice wherever we see anything being abused or injustice being done to someone. With that, may I now request Mr. Ravinder Kumar to please deliver the vote of thanks and conclude today's program.
Good afternoon to all. It is my privilege to express our heartfelt gratitude at the conclusion of this significant event, the observance of the Sexual Harassment at Workplace Prevention Week 2025. I would like to extend a sincere thanks you, Sanghamitra Bandyopadhyay, our officiating director, Professor Pradipta Bandyopadhyay, Professor Sarvani Palit, who speaks on behalf of Professor Sushmita Mitra, chairperson of this ICC Kolkata. We are especially grateful to all the panelists who participated in today's discussion. Lastly, I would like to thank each and every one of you present here today, our esteemed guests, faculty members, staff and students, for your time, attention and commitment to make the event a success. Your presence here reflects shared responsibilities we all bear in ensuring a safe, supportive and harassment-free environment. Once again, thank you all for being a part of this important event. Let us move forward with renewed commitment and collective action in making ISI Kolkata a beacon of inclusivity and safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Coffee outside. Okay, coffee outside.
Yes, please.
Orpon.